afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are watching us from. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you to another transformative edition of our online leadership and personal development conversation. I remain Comfort Eyitayo, your regular host for Connect with Comfort show. On this program, we aim to add value to people on business enterprise and personal growth. Each show is organized to feature special guests who are usually subject matter experts because they help us to throw more insight on the topic of the day. Once again, I'd like to welcome you warmly to Connect with Comfort show. One of the greatest gifts anyone can give themselves is the willingness to pause and ask meaningful questions. Not questions about money, not questions about promotion, not even questions about success, but questions about identity, questions that reveal who you are beneath the titles, the achievements, and the applause. This evening, we ask one of those life-changing questions. Who are you becoming? Notice we are not asking, who are you today? Neither are we asking, what do you own? Or what have you accomplished? Instead, we are asking about the direction of your life because life is always moving. You are becoming someone every single day. The only question is whether that person is the one you truly want to become. Many people spend years building careers, but neglect building character. Some spend decades accumulating wealth while losing peace of mind. Others pursue influence but forget integrity. Some become successful in the eyes of the world, yet become strangers to themselves. That is why today's conversation matters a lot, because becoming is more important than arriving. Your future isn't determined only by what you achieve, it is also determined by who you become while achieving it. Think about that for a moment. Every decision you make, every habit you repeat, every relationship you nurture, every challenge you overcome, every book you read, every conversation you entertain, every environment you remain in is quietly shaping the person you are becoming. Sometimes transformation happens so gradually that we don't notice until years later. Today's conversation is an invitation to become intentional, not just about your goals, but about your growth. Not merely about success, but significance, and not simply about your destination, but your development. So this evening's theme that asks the question who you are becoming isn't just a motivational slogan. It is a mirror that asks, who are you becoming emotionally? Who are you becoming spiritually? And who are you becoming intellectually? Who are you becoming professionally? Who are you becoming in your family? Who are you becoming as a leader? Who are you becoming when nobody is watching you? Because at the end of the day, people may admire your accomplishments, but they experience your character. Your children inherit your values. Your colleagues remember your attitude. Your community benefits from your influence, and your legacy is built by the person you consistently become. I hereby welcome you to our quote of the week, which is a special segment where we pause to reflect on a timeless idea that can shape the way we think, lead, and live. Every meaningful transformation begins with a single thought. Sometimes one sentence can change our assumptions in spite of our habits. It can also inspire new habits and change the different direction of our lives. So today's quote is simple yet deeply profound. Your future is not determined by what you achieve. It is shaped by who you become. So let us reflect on this together. Many of us spend years pursuing achievements. We chase promotions, we build businesses, we acquire qualifications, we celebrate milestones. And while all these are very important, they are not the ultimate measure of a meaningful life. Because achievement answers the question, what have you done? But becoming answers the deep question, who are you? So as you reflect on today's quote, keep one thought in mind. Your life is always moving in the direction of the person you are becoming. And that brings us perfectly to today's conversation. So let's dive into the conversation. Who are you becoming? This we shall do after this time out. Please remain connected. We'll be right back. Thank you.
I was searching, I was looking for meaning. I was wondering, desperately trying only to see I have nothing missing. Who said I have to find who I am? Who said that I am lost to begin with? I am already enough. Everything I need is within me. Each morning when I wake up, I'm grateful for the beauty around me.
So you are welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that short video break. Today we are having a special person as our guest. He's special in the sense that he's one of the founding pillars of Connect with Comfort show. And he has actually been a guest on this show several times now. So to help us unpack this profound subject, I am delighted to welcome someone whose life and work have consistently reflected intentional growth, authentic leadership, and a passion for helping people become their best selves. Our guest is a respected leader, a mentor, a speaker, a coach, and a lifelong learner whose journey has inspired professionals, entrepreneurs, emerging leaders, and countless individuals seeking purpose and personal excellence. What makes our guest specially suited for today's conversation is not merely professional achievements, but a commitment to continuous growth, character development, and serving others with integrity. We are privileged to have Mr. Oluwarotimi Eyitayo with us today as our special guest for the show. Rotimi, you are welcome to the show. Thank you for accepting to do this for us, even though you are part of the show. Welcome. We'll give you a round of applause to welcome you. We can't hear you. You need to check your audio.
Thank you very much. Good evening. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. So we go straight into our conversation by asking, when you hear the question, who are you becoming? What does it personally mean to you?
Thank you. When I hear the word, who are you becoming? Two things come to mind. Number one is the word progress. And then the other one is possibilities. Progress in terms of where you're going to as you're moving on. And possibilities is all that you can become, all that you can possess, all that you can ever do.
Fantastic. Nice and short. I love the perspective you gave us. It reminds us that becoming is a journey rather than a destination. Thank you for that. So why do you think many people spend more time planning their careers than planning the kind of person they want to become?
Well, I think that sometimes it might be as a result of fear. A lot of us do not know how really powerful that we are. So we follow a common script, which is public knowledge. The career plan, the career path is obviously something in the public domain. But ourselves, we actually have a lot of stories untold, a lot of paths uncharted. And I think that that's the reason why a lot of people put too much energy in their career planning, because our life actually has the capacity to bring together both the career and all the possibilities that we represent, plus the dreams that we have, into place. So I think part of it is fear, part of it is also public. The public has stressed so much on the obvious, which is the career, but so little about the individual.
Fantastic. So how can someone distinguish between simply getting older and genuinely growing?
That's a very interesting question. Getting older is a function of life and time. As long as you are alive, each day brings you to become older. But growth is a function of so many things. Number one, growth is a function of knowledge. Growth is a function of pursuit. Growth is a function of expression or execution. Growth is a function of flexibility. Growth is a function of reality and sometimes a shift. So, shifting from who we used to be, shifting in mindset, shifting in disposition, all those few things I've mentioned brings together about growth. But when you're just living your life with time, each day passes, you grow older. But growth is a bit different.
Fantastic. That is well put. So, how important is self awareness in becoming the right person?
That's a very powerful question. Self awareness actually is the beginning of the journey becoming a meaningful or great person. Number one, you can almost look at it as that a lot of times it's a pointer to what we need to do and who we need to become. Some people don't know that they don't know. Unfortunately, they don't even want to help or get help that they don't know. And that's just telling you about the different level of awareness. Some other people, right, they know that they don't know and they don't want to be helped. So you can see the different realities. Some don't know that they don't know. Some know and they don't want to get help to be known, right? And then you also find out that there are people who sometimes, are open to knowledge. And that tells you that the level of awareness gets people to know where to repair, where to reflect, where to build on, what to build on, how to build on. So awareness sometimes makes one's positioning better and more result based. So if you don't know, it's just like saying that you cannot hit a target you're not aiming at. So this is what I believe. Awareness is very key.
Fantastic. It's interesting that you mentioned about awareness and you stress it a couple of times in your response because many people know everybody else's weaknesses, but have never honestly examined themselves. I think that's exactly part of what you are speaking to. Like some people don't know they don't know, but those who know that they don't know and they are living in self-denial in a way are those that are not seeking help to get better. That is profound. Thank you very much for that beautiful response. So, how important are mentors in the journey of becoming? That is becoming who you really want to be.
I think that mentors can be likened to a ladder. When you think about a ladder that is leaning against the wall, it becomes easier for you to climb because the mentors become that support, either from a relational angle or directional angle. So the mentors are very important. Some of them point the way, some of them help to polish on the way, some of them even help to project for the way. So when you see mentors, they're not just there, they are tools towards making the journey much easier or to making the journey eventually possible. Because most of them have experience, some of them have exposure, some of them have expertise, some of them have the three together. And it mentors in your life, it gives you a better guarantee, not just for validation, but for eventual outcomes.
Well said. Well said. Can the wrong environment slow down or even damage our personal development?
Yes, I strongly believe that the environment is a critical component towards any kind of outcome. If I take a fish out of water, most likely you find out that the fish will struggle. Just like I cannot judge, they say that you cannot judge a fish by his ability to climb a tree. That tells you that the habitat of a person, the environment of a person can enable or disempower that person. And so the problem really is not so much just the environment, but the infection of the environment on the inside. A ship on the sea is actually a particular thing on water. So the body of water is not the problem. It's only when the body of water begins to get into the ship. And that's the power of environment. So when we look at our environment, if it's not enabling the dream, if it's not giving us the positivity or the capacity to build or find expression, it will hamper with the eventual becoming of that person.
Very true. Very true. So we really have to be careful which environment we operate in. How do relationship influence the person we eventually become?
Well, I believe that success is highly relational. Relationship shortens the curve. There are many times I look at relationship playing two pivotal roles in any form of endeavor. Relationship can serve as an enabler, it can serve as an amplifier. So there are people in our lives that enable what we do. They make it easier, they make it better, they make it possible. There's some people that help project it. Those are the amplifiers. So they amplify the thing like a microphone, like a loudspeaker. And so you find out that if you have in your life, in your pursuit, in your career, in your business, people who project you, they enable you, people who make it possible, people who stand in and speak for you, then you will realize that the journey becomes a lot easier. In Nigeria, we tend to have a local way of saying it. We say connection, right? So relationship and connectedness, they are similar. And so when people are connected to each other, you find out that the possibilities are limitless. So the one who is not connected becomes isolated. Regardless of his gifting or her giftings, the journey might be a struggle than the one who is very relational.
Very true. That's a profound distinction. And really and truly, sometimes growth isn't about addition, it's about subtraction. And we can situate that with that response. Thank you very much. How can professional remain humble while becoming more successful?
Well, I'll start by saying professionals should be humble because number one thing that should make you humble is the fact that there's a word called change. Nothing is constant as change. So things that you probably might even have control over can flip in the shortest possible time. There are many factors like that. So you need to be humble. And how can you be humble? Number one is when you have a very big and audacious goal before you, when you realize that the pursuit of becoming is bigger than your current state of doing. So when you see that tomorrow is bigger than today, you definitely will be humble because there are many people who play different parts in your journey. There are many variables to that. And then when you sometimes look at other people's achievement, not from a negative comparison point, but just to stir you up to say that, yes, you might have done so well, you might have gotten some applause. Your applause might just be local applause, it's not a global applause. So it just keeps you humble. There are people who are trillionaires in dollars. There are people who are billionaires in dollars. So if you're a millionaire in naira, you can tell that obviously maybe your entire wealth is somebody else's tithe. So when you think about it, it keeps you humble. So you stay humble by looking at results that people have gone ahead and looking at the dreams that you have for yourself. These are a few practical ways to do that.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Even dollars may even be lower than talk of euros. So that's a good example. So, what role does gratitude play in personal transformation?
Well, gratitude in personal transformation, I think that it just helps you to have a very good and positive lens towards life. You are always grateful for everything. It makes you sometimes not stay in the comfort zone, but at least be appreciative of the little that you have. And that's actually the oil in the wheel of progress because you believe that, well, I have one today. I'm thankful for that one. And I will do something with that one. But once you don't practice personal gratitude, you will always feel discontented. You will not even know that the little that you have is something to work with. You will always look at the things within your concern and you ignore the things within your influence and control. And then when you practice gratitude personally, it has a way of you reflecting it with other people because then people now see you as someone that they would like to help, people that someone they would like to associate with. But if you don't practice gratitude, it tends to be like a negation. Well, I don't like this person. He's not appreciative. He's not grateful. He's not this. She's not that. So gratitude gives you that oil, and staying power, that even when the going gets tough, you appreciate the fact that things are tough, but you are still going.
Okay, you landed.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. The network froze a bit at that time. Very true. Well said. Gratitude is everything. We have to have a grateful heart to be able to receive more. Even this is reflected in the Holy Book, that you have to be grateful. So, how can parents intentionally raise children who value becoming over merely succeeding?
I think that one of the ways we can do that is by actually, paying attention to what we celebrate. The things we celebrate tends to be like a clue or a cursor for the children that we raise, because then they will now realize that when we focus on the being, automatically the doing will follow. And when we focus on the being, the doing follows. Obviously, the having will also come after. So we start working on our identity. We start working on who we are. Self-worth is there, because self-worth is what will help us bargain with life appropriately, which will eventually lead to our life reality. But when the self-worth is not there, people lose their bargaining power because they have no sense of worth. So that's what parents can begin to do, making the children reflect and see themselves for who they are, not seeing what they do. Because children will eventually do different things, but the value of the person is who they are and who they are becoming. And along the line, whatever they pick up to do, just like the Holy Book says, whatever your hand finds to do it with all your heart or might. And then when you do that, and you end up standing before kings and not mean men.
Fantastic. That's very true. And add the word of prayer. So help us, God, because it
Amen.
takes the grace of God to be able to do that. Now, with this social media menace, many people compare themselves with others on social media. How can someone remain true to their authentic journey in a world filled with constant comparison?
I think that one has to come to a point where you understand the dynamics of social media in itself. Social media is a scripted world. Nobody deliberately, except for few people, will deliberately show a bad side on social media. Everybody's always wearing their best wear, their best smile, their best pose. Sometimes many pictures have been deleted before the one that eventually gets posted. So when you understand that it's just a part of a constructed reality, then you now understand that both on social media and off social media, life is meant to be lived by design, not desire. Our desires are good, but the designs are better and functional. So if you want to have a great life, it starts with the design, not just the desire. So if you know you can create your life, you can create your worth in partnership with people, in partnership with God, then you find out that you're not necessarily helpless or hopeless. But when you look to others, to what they do, that's when you begin to feel that your light is dim, and then you now begin to feel helpless and ultimately hopeless. So, as social media will be, it will continue to be like that. However, once you understand the dynamics that social media is a constructed script in the public domain, then you yourself can create your script in the private. Show what you want to show, but design who you ought to become. So when you do that, even the ordinary that you do will end up showcasing it as extraordinary. And that way, life is sweeter. Comparison is out of the way. Bitterness is non existent. And eventually, success comes in.
Very well said. Thank you very much for that response. So, how do we see fear and self doubt influence the person we eventually become?
One thing that people must be reminded is that fear is a big immobilizer. If you harbor fear, if you retain fear, one of the things that fear does, it stops movement. It pauses people from gravitating towards things. And that's why you find that there's a lot around fear in these days. A lot of us will experience fear. In fact, almost all of us will experience fear. But the challenge and the question is how many of us will face the fears we experience? So people must understand that a lot is on the other side of fear. And that's why we need to know that if we allow fear cripple us because of the concerns of what we have, concerns of the outcome, concerns of what people will say, concerns of the result, then we might end up not doing anything meaningful. And like the popular saying, nothing ventured, nothing gained. So if you really want to gain something, we have no choice than to sometimes just be bold enough to venture out. And that's why you look at entrepreneurs and business people, apart from the wealth and success they have, one of the things we should celebrate in entrepreneurs is the fact that they dare to do. That fact alone is success for me. As far as I'm concerned, it's a success matrix. It's a success in itself that they dare to do where others sometimes fear to do. These are my thoughts.
Very good thoughts, actually. From what you have said, I can confirm that fear often whispers, stay where you are. Growth, on the other hand, invites us to step into unfamiliar territory. Becoming usually begins where comfort ends. So we need to venture out. So that's very, very true and great insight. Thank you very much for that. So, what role does discipline play in becoming the person we aspire to be?
Well, discipline is a very key element, a success factor, because sometimes there will be resistance. Sometimes things might not come out as quickly as we have projected. Discipline keeps us to be on that path. It gives us what we call staying power. You need discipline to keep to it. You need discipline to repeat. In fact, the law of sales is actually explained in discipline, which says that you need at least 7 positive interventions to have a sales. The law of averages says for every negative outcome you have, you are closer to a positive outcome, which means if I want a positive outcome, I must be open to negative outcomes. So whenever we get a no, understand that yes is around the corner. So we must be open and disciplined to do the things we need to do. Sometimes the comfort zone robs up of anything of stretch or stretching. So discipline is required. Discipline to maintain relationship, discipline to put out the proposal, discipline to go out there, discipline to try again, discipline to say yes after many no's. All these are things that will propel us to eventually conquer the battles that we face.
Fantastic. We have a contribution from one of our viewers in terms of a question, and it goes thus: how can we tell whether our current choices are shaping us into the person we truly want to become? That is from Bayo Banjo.
Well, there are two ways I'll respond to this. Number one, how high can a tree go? If you cut that tree down, you'll never know. So that's one part of it. Our choices, in a way, they are steps and little steps towards eventual thing. So we cannot know if we don't try. But number two, we can tell by if our current choices are shaping us based on the fact that there's something called low-hanging fruit. If you find out that your choices empower you or disempower you, you can tell. If you find that your choices are not necessarily gravitating to the outcome profile. So if my outcome profile is success or wealth, if I look at the decisions I'm taking today, does it look like the outcome profile that I have eventually? If it doesn't look like, then the current choices I'm making It's taking me far away from my result, but you are the one that needs to sit down and have some reflection. Do a 360-degree review to be sure that you are not disempowering yourself. You are not moving far away from your goal. And some people do this, they call it the 5 W's. They ask why, and you're asking yourself, this decision, what went well? What went wrong? And then you can even get some other ways to actually probe further. So these are a few things you can look at to work on.
Good suggestion. I hope that works well for Banjo Bayode. Thank you very much for that response. Now, is there a difference between confidence and arrogance? How can people develop one without falling into the other?
So confidence most times is deposit of courage on a matter, deposit of courage to a pursuit. You find out that it is subject focused. It is content focused. That's courage, confidence. I'm confident about the business I'm doing. I'm confident about the pitch I'm making. I'm confident about the path I'm going to take. I'm confident in the decision I'm making. However, arrogance is an over bloated image of oneself. In other words, arrogance shifts the focus from the subject to self. And so then you are saying, I am not just confident, but you are comparing your confidence to others. So you are saying that, well, I've been a success over time. I'm better than the rest. And that is where the biggest blind spot starts. Because when you begin to think of yourself, overconfidence steps in. Blind spots causes you not to see some things. That while you are confident, doesn't mean you are resourceful. While you're confident, doesn't mean you have the right team. While you're confident, doesn't mean you have the right resources. While you're confident, doesn't mean you have the best of strategy. Doesn't mean that you have the best of actions. So arrogance is actually what makes people not being helped, and sometimes it makes character stink. So no matter how good talent is, arrogance is actually not a perfume, it's a stench to that kind of character.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Before I take the next related question, we have a question from the audience. Adeyemi Taiwo asks, what practical steps can we take to protect children from the harmful effects of social media? Just in 1 minute.
I think one of the practical steps we could take might be that we might need to put on some passwords on some sites. You might need to limit the bandwidth and access parental control. There are different apps and tools you can leverage on for that. And also probably just have a conversation on online etiquette, the social behavior that is acceptable for children going online. And so when they understand why these things are there, it gives you a better way and a better opportunity to know how they can self-regulate, because you might not always be there and there might always be sometimes loopholes. But by the time you are able to say, this is why we don't want you to do this. This is what online predators do. This is what abuse is like. Then the children themselves can self-regulate. But there are many tools out there that you can do. You can also check, certain sites. You can peg access to them and prevent unnecessary exposure. And I hope that helps. So there's another question. It says, what strategies can family adopt to safeguard children from the risk and vices? Well, like I said, you have to look at the possibilities of monitoring. You have to look at the possibilities of pegging what they watch, pegging access. You have to look at possibility of passwords. There are many safeguarding options. You can peg the password. Even platforms people subscribe to give opportunity for parental advisory. And then you are able to also teach them. I think that Enlightenment, like I heard a friend and a professional say, enlightenment is superior to reinforcement. So when you find that people are enlightened, they know that this is what to do. They know that this is why they need to do the things they need to do. It puts them in a position where they can also self-regulate. When we're growing up, they'll tell us, don't talk to strangers. But over a period of time, you find out that that's a contextual statement. It's not totally wrong not to talk to strangers, because if you are greeting a stranger, that's part of talking to strangers, right? But what they're actually teaching us should be the intent. It should be the intent of what we do when we're talking to people who are not known to us. So that way, children can regulate. Thank you. Welcome back.
Thank you very much. Network struck. Actually, I was saying your response to the difference between confidence and arrogance. There's a question that ties in with that. Like some people will say, this is just who I am. Is that a healthy mindset? Or can it become an excuse for avoiding growth?
Okay. So sometimes people need to know that stating a fact doesn't mean they're stating or saying the truth. So this is who I am is a fact. In some cases, it might not be the truth, because we actually are always going to behave based on how we are conditioned. If someone says, this is who I am, this is who I am, if they point a gun at that person, the person will change behavior at that point in time. So that tells you that, we are really, really, most times, conditioned human beings. So we need to learn how to condition ourselves for the right kind of behavior, like the right kind of disposition. So I think that people should know that they should factor the room for the possibility of change, growth, improvement, because we all will know that the more we know, the better we ought to become.
Thank you. So can a person's environment accelerate or delay who they become?
I strongly believe yes. Your environment definitely can be an accelerator. Some. Let me give an example. Some people live in certain environments that naturally places them to be conscious and to also question things. Other people have to go for a master class and communication training on what some people naturally have as a growing up skill. Why? Because the environment. Think about some countries where children go on the bus to school. They don't need a dad, a mom to drive them to school. So they already are making that move from an early stage to gravitate towards independence. They are doing things on their own. They're taking changes. They're going to the talk shop. They're going to the mall. But it's not an elitist thing, it's a life thing. So when we think about it too, the same thing with the environment. People who travel out of the country or people who go to nice places tend to have a better perception of abundance than people who don't. So environment does accelerate.
Thank you very much. Just like it can also delay. If the environment is not right, it can delay your progress. Okay. So, like, if we are looking at some people and they say they feel stuck, or the common thing is that they are on one spot in life, where should they begin the process of transformation for those who have this type of feeling?
Well, I think that when people feel stuck, one of the things they can do is go back to their why, or some will say the vision. What exactly made you launch out? What exactly do you want out of life? I think that's the very first thing. When we go back to the core, we find the center. It's from the center we begin to now draw it like a concentric circle. We spiral out. We want to know why. What exactly am I out to achieve? So that strategy can now make sense. Or else all ideas without a sense of direction will lead us eventually to a wrong destination. So if you're feeling stuck, ask questions. Why? And then we'll now begin to do sometimes elimination. Could it be that, oh, you're going with the wrong team? Could it be that you don't have the right resource? Could it be that you launched ahead of its time? Could it be that there's no readiness in place? Could it be? Could it be? Could it be? Could it be? You know, and sometimes could it be that it's just things that need to wait out with time? So a lot of factors get answered when we go back to the why. Why did we start? Why are we doing what we do? What do we want out of life? Then we can easily connect the dots.
Fantastic. So we should go back to the basics and ask the right questions. Thank you very much for that. So if you could mentor your younger self, what advice would you give about becoming rather than merely succeeding?
I would say that never fear the loss. There are many times that you have a lot of intuition and that direction to do something, but you're just afraid of the loss. So mentoring my younger self would be never fear the loss. Go for limitlessness. Anything that will limit me is either I break through it, go over it, go around it. No excuses. No excuses.
Fantastic. That's very instructive. If every viewer committed to changing just one thing after this evening's conversation, what should that one thing be?
That one thing would be to having a positive image of themselves and their future, right disposition to become. That starts from your self-image. That's once that is sorted, everything easily aligns. But once we have a distorted image of ourselves, it becomes a big mountain to climb.
Very well said. We should have positive image about ourselves and positive mindset too. Finally, let's imagine every person watching could hear one sentence from you before they leave the show tonight. What would you want them never to forget?
I would say that they should focus on their being. That's what they should focus on. When you focus on your being, you'll get the doing and the having. They call it the be do have model. Our being is really the core. Focus on who you're becoming. Then what you do and what you have falls in alignment. Never forget that. A lot of us tend to focus on the doing at the expense of the being. Who you become matters. And that's what will lead to what you do, eventually to what you possess.
Fantastic. That's is very insightful and wonderfully revealing. As we begin to wrap up, I'd like to share a few reflections inspired by our special guest tonight. We often spend years asking, what should I do? Where should I work? How much should I earn? When will I succeed? These are valid questions. But perhaps the greater question is, who am I becoming while pursuing all these things? Because careers may change, business may rise and fall, titles come and go, positions do expire, awards gather dust, but character endures. Integrity travels with you, wisdom grows with you, kindness multiplies through you, and the person you become determines the legacy you leave behind. Remember, success impresses people, Character impacts people. Influence incites people. But legacy outlives people. This evening conversation is not merely an invitation to achieve more. It's an invitation to become more, become wiser, become kinder, become stronger, become even more disciplined, become more courageous, and become more compassionate, become more intentional, become the kind of person whose presence leaves every room better than they found it. Before we conclude, I would like to invite our special guest to offer one final reflection. If you had 60 seconds to speak directly to every person watching around the world, what would you say to them on this very important topic?
Thank you very much. And I'll just say this. I want everybody to focus on all that they can do that they've not done. I want them to focus on all that they can have but they've not yet possessed. I want them to focus on all that they can become, all that they can be, but they've not yet become. When you make this your life mantra, you find out that every way is way forward for you. What you can do, you've not done, what you can have, but you've not possessed, and what you can be that you've not become. Thank you.
Fantastic, fantastic. What a great insight. That message will remain with many of us for a long time. Ladies and gentlemen, what a remarkable conversation we've had this evening. We are reminded that becoming is a lifelong journey. It's not defined by a single achievement or life-changing event. Rather, it is shaped by the small, consistent choices we make every day and our habits, our attitudes, our values, our relationships, and our willingness to learn. If there's one lesson to carry into tomorrow, let it be this. Do not become so busy building your resume than you neglect building your character. Your greatest investment is not in what you own, but in who you are becoming. Quickly, I would like to recognize those who joined us while this show was on. Those that have been able to, okay, we have a contribution. Dr. Asenyi just posted something. What you are becoming should be driven by vision and desire to achieve set goal. Thank you very much, Dr. Asenyi, streaming from Abuja, for that beautiful contribution. So I will start the recognition by recognizing Dr. Asenyi. Actually, it was his name that popped up first when we started. Dr. Asenyi, you are welcome to the show. We thank you. He's one of our regular and one of our great contributors on this show. Taiwo Ojo, also one of our regulars that joined us. Bayo Debanjo, also one of our regulars, he also contributed to the show tonight. At Lanre Kosoki, I hope I pronounced that well, supports our special guest insight on social media. That it was great. Adeyemi Taiwo also joined us. I believe a few others that I may not have gotten their name, but pardon me. I appreciate all of you nonetheless. Thank you for joining. Thank you for following on this learning series as we experience every week. As we bring tonight's program to a close, I want to leave you with one final thought. Imagine meeting yourself 10 years from today. What would that future version of you be? Or that future version of you, would it say thank you for the decisions you are making today? Would they be proud of your discipline, your integrity, your courage, your kindness, and your commitment to growth. The version that you are preparing for the future is being created one decision at a time, one habit at a time, one conversation at a time, one act of courage at a time also. So choose intentionally and wisely, learn continuously, serve generously, lead humbly, love deeply, and grow consistently, and never stop becoming. To everyone that joins us today, either live or those who will be replaying this uh, program, thank you for your thoughtful comments, your suggestions, and your commitment to personal growth. And for those who have contributed, we thank you. If tonight's conversation inspired you, please share the replay with someone who would benefit from it. Start a discussion in your family, workplace, or community. Growth is contagious when it is shared. My special appreciation is to our guest, our special guest for tonight, who has really done us proud as usual. Rotimi, thank you very much for sharing your time, your experience, and your practical and great insights on this evening's topic with such generosity. On behalf of all our production team, we say thank you for sharing such profound wisdom and practical insight. Thank you very much. Before you leave, I'd like you to take 3 simple steps. Reflect. Write down one quality you want to intentionally develop over the next 30 days. Act. Choose one daily habit that will move you closer to becoming the person you aspire to be. Share. Invite someone, a friend, colleague, spouse, or mentee to join you on this journey of growth and accountability. Remember, transformation is not accidental. It is intentional, consistent, and lifelong. Until then, keep learning, keep growing, keep serving, and keep asking yourselves the question that can transform a lifetime. Who are you becoming? Remember, every day you are becoming someone. Be intentional about that someone, what that someone will be. Until next time, when I come your way again, keep growing, keep serving, keep leading, and keep becoming. Thank you for joining us once again. Good night, and may you continue becoming the very best version of yourself. God bless you. See you next time.